Welcome to 360 Timmy, the podcast with interesting people in 360 degrees. You can listen on all major music streaming services and watch on YouTube by going to youtube.com/360 Timmy.
Welcome again to another 360 Timmy. So today we're in Chalkwell in Essex by the seafront, a lovely day. And today I'm joined by Monty Lambert.
Hello.
Hi Monty. So Monty is doing charity cycle rides in memory of his son, Archie. We're going to talk about that now, the charities he's covering and the kind of challenges for all this cycling you've got in mind. And You brought your bike along today, I see.
Yes. Got it been out this morning, so got one ride in.
So tell us a bit about your family and your background.
So we're from Southend area and Rayleigh, so moved here when I was younger. Met my wife I think 2000, got married in 2002. Had Seb and Millie, which are oldest kids, and then then 2017 we had another little surprise, Archie, who came along. So it kind of went from there. Been doing family life and everything. We I think just after lockdown, Archie had glandular fever, and we'd got into hospital because he had kind of paralysed his face, and because it kind of paralysed both sides, Southend Hospital had referred us to Great Ormond Street. So we kind of been up to Great Ormond Street a lot, and then we was meant to be having an MRI, but obviously with lockdown and he'd had a cold and everything, that didn't happen until November. That was November 2020. And that's when they found a lesion on his brain.
Oh.
So obviously at that time they didn't know what it was. So we kind of left it for a month or so because he didn't have any kind of symptoms at this point. He was kind of fine and happy. And so I think it was January 21, because he had kind of slightly grown, they recommended a biopsy. So he had a biopsy done. And then obviously that's when it come back. They were saying as DIPG, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, which is unfortunately terminal. So I think we'd known another girl in the area who'd had the same kind of condition a year before, and so unfortunately we knew that it was terminal.
That's horrible.
But at this stage he didn't have any symptoms, so they couldn't give us any kind of prognosis, any kind of length of time what would happen, because most of the time most children, when they diagnosed, is because they've had symptoms, and then they literally usually just get told go and make memories. You've got it's normally 6 to 9 months. It's about 30 to 40 cases in the UK each year, but it is unfortunately, with where it is, the only kind of treatment is radiotherapy, kind of palliative care to help reduce the symptoms. So he had that. He had 30 rounds of radiotherapy at UCLH.
That's a lot for a little boy.
But he on the I know on the wards he used to come out because he had to have general anaesthetic every day. For it, so he don't move about. But he used to be then up, and he used to be running up and down the corridors, and
quite a spirit.
Yes, very lively. But I think, and he had gone through that. I think we then had to wait about a couple of months because it's still working after a while. And they come back, we'd had an MRI, and they actually had no trace of the tumour, but as far as an MRI could tell.
Yeah.
But they did say to us then, in all likelihood, it will probably come back because
yeah.
of the aggressive nature
Yeah.
of it. But I think we kind of hoped in one way, and so it then started school later that year. So this was in 21.
So he was about 5 at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in September he started school, and we kind of carried on, really. And I think it weren't until the following February 22, he'd had another MRI, and that's when they were like, "Oh, it's come back." So that's when I think we'd been with like Young Lives versus Cancer throughout, and we were kind of, okay, what charities? Because we knew that was kind of the end of the treatment.
Yeah. So a lot of support there.
So we started doing lots of trips and everything else. He did have another 10 rounds of radiotherapy. But I mean, fortunately, he was still symptom-free at that point.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, part of what I'll say later with the riding, but I know that summer we'd gone a few holidays, Milford-on-Sea, and then another trip from another charity. We went up to like Blackpool Way, then went up to Edinburgh, and then we kind of come down via York,
Yeah.
and then back to Southend. And so, yeah, just tried to get as much in as a family as we could.
Yeah. That's, was that post-lockdown period when we were starting to unlock, or?
Yeah, so I think it started kind of all back to normal.
Yeah, as
I
much as it
suppose
was then,
as
yeah.
you'd say. And I think it started school again, so year 1. And I think it was literally the last day before half term, before we broke up, because he'd started being a bit wobbly on his feet.
Yeah.
At this point, and I think on the way home he literally just sat down on his scooter and said, "That's it, you couldn't go anymore." So he was kind of just tired out. So that was his kind of last day at school. Then other charities, I think it was Whiz Kids locally. So we had a little wheelchair for him as well, just to help. He was still getting by.
Yeah.
And still getting on, but you could see then gradually, I suppose at this point this would be where normally most families would be like, "Oh, something's wrong,"
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it kind of just gradually got worse from there, really. It weren't, and then I think it was December time when he started to go quite downhill a lot more with his swallowing, and that he'd had to have a NG tube and stuff. And then I think they were saying it was they weren't sure if he'd make Christmas at this point.
Oh, that's dreadful.
But we kind of carried on, and then I can't remember the date, but I know in January this year, that's when we got admitted as a family to Little Havens.
Yeah.
Which is the local children's hospice. And yeah, I think we was there about 3 weeks. And just, I can't over say what they did, but yeah, we could just spend time together as a family.
Yeah, they do amazing work, don't they, hospices?
Yeah. And yeah, so we all stayed there and until he passed away.
I'm so sorry.
Really?
I'm so sorry.
I
can't even imagine what you're going through as well. But of course, this is how you take his memory and his life spirit, and the next,
Yeah, I think I'd put literally with him. I'd promised just to try and do the best.
Yeah.
That I could for him, and to help. I'd always kind of said, me and my wife, that try and help pay back the charities.
Yeah.
As much as we could, that gave us the support along the way. Because a lot of them as well, yeah, they've been set up from families who've gone through similar things. So a lot of them, where they've raised money for, say, trials
Yeah.
or that in the US, and where they've not happened or not had any success, they've used that money to then try and help other families. And
Absolutely. Do you want to just talk through the chat? So you've got a GoFundMe page.
Yep.
For your cycle in April.
Yep.
And there's several charities in there, which I think you said is actually sometimes an issue when you do these London to Brighton kind of things. So they're expecting one charity, but you want to represent.
Yeah, because I'd looked at ones like you say, the London, Paris, and everything else, but it's just the one charity. So I thought, was trying to think of rides, kind of something would be relevant. So I thought of the last trip.
Yeah.
One of the last trips we had, down from Edinburgh down Southend, and it's downhill. Hopefully.
Yeah. Was that wasn't on a bike? That when the family, that was in a car.
No, that's in the car. Yeah.
And it's all downhill. I like that.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's about 480 miles.
Wow.
That's going to be 7 days, and one of my friends has kindly offered to help in his camper van.
Support. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what other charities you're representing?
Right. So we've got, I suppose, go from the order they help really. So Young Lives versus Cancer.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, they'd been helped from the start, just practical help as well. And everything we'd had Little Havens, which was the hospice. THHN, Torbay Holiday Helpers Network. So that was one of the trips we'd had. Unbeatable EVA. So I know that's where their daughter had passed away from DIPG, but they do like big toy bundles and everything for children. So I was, everything for the kids. Well, the Make-A-Wish UK. So that was another trip we had in Kent to Port Limp Zoo.
Oh yeah,
amazing
place.
place.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, brilliant. That was. What else is there? I'm trying to think.
It's bad of me to put you on the spot here, isn't it?
I should have looked up. No.
Well, we'll put a link to the page if you have.
Yeah.
If you have, we'll put a link to the page anyway. And it has got all the charities there.
Yes.
So, so had you got on a bike before and cycled in anger anywhere, or?
I've done quite a bit of riding before, but I'm not your typical kind of man in like
Yes.
cyclist. And and this is the bike I used to take Archie on.
Yeah.
Out and
So
about.
whole special memories. Yeah.
Yeah. So ideally, I'd be doing it on a road bike, but no, I'll do it on this. And
tell us about a special piece of kit on that bike, on the handlebar.
Oh, so this is the my duck, Archie's duck. So when I used to take him about, I just bought a little duck just for him to squeeze and play about on. And I don't know, when I'd started back in kind of February, I started going out on rides and like done a few little posts. And I just thought I'd just been going out with Archie's duck on it, and it just kind of stuck.
Yeah.
From there. So yeah, that's what I've just been trying to.
So you kind of use that as your symbol for charity fundraising, and we'll actually post a photo of that with the QR code to link to your fundraising page as well. But that must, I guess, if you're going up a hill and it's freezing cold and you're absolutely tired, I guess you look at that and it gives you that extra bit of inspiration, doesn't it?
I'll give it a little
Oh, it's got a
ring.
bell as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
that's brilliant. I didn't know that.
It's stuck on my bell.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So yeah, I'll give that a little ring, and that keeps me going really.
So in terms of what you do for a living, how supportive were they, during that terrible period you had, and actually since with fundraising?
Yeah, no, well, I work for Sky, and yeah, I think one of the ladies from Gosh had said what your company puts in during, and that kind of helps afterwards.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think they just said, go and do what you need to do, kind of, yeah, and
Yeah.
we'll be here for you. And yeah, just, I mean, I've worked here for Sky for about 10 years, it'll be, but I know the team I'm in, we're very close, and
Yeah.
I think that's, yeah, I couldn't have done it without them as well.
Oh, that's amazing, isn't it?
Really.
It's good to have that support.
Yeah.
So your big ride in April is Edinburgh, down to London. What after that? You can do more, or you can see how it goes with that one first?
No, I think, yeah, I think I'll see how it goes if my legs are still going.
So currently you've got a target of 10,000. I think you're about 2,900 at the moment.
Yeah.
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 So let's try and get that up before April. So as I mentioned, we'll post the QR code for that.
Yeah.
And actually, what we'll do is put a link to your TikTok and social, so people can see the progress of your run. And perhaps we'll catch up later as well on how it went.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do it sitting down next time. You can have
Yes.
after all that riding.
Have a coffee.
But Monty, thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
And I do encourage people, please go to the fundraising page and support Monty. Great charities. I really can't encourage you enough to help with his fundraising pledge. So that's amazing. Have a super day.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.
Remember, you can watch the video version of this podcast on youtube.com/at360timmy. Episodes are available in regular or 360 view. More links on 360timmy.com.